Hello everybody. Today is my lecture 6, Parmenides, Philosophy of Being second, Parmenides and Buddhism, etc. Parmenides denied the change, becoming, birth, death, because these things contain nothing or negation in itself. As will be later on discussed, being cannot be turned into nothing. Consequently, the change of all things is to be rejected by Parmenides. Therefore, Parmenides denied not becoming itself, but what is not, which is implicit in becoming. Moreover, he didn't acknowledge the exchange of being with non-being. How can being comes from non-being? The matter of a change provokes the emotion of vanity and the trancience of life. The Bible's book, Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, 2, 2 says, "Vanity of vanities," says the preacher, "vanity of vanities, all is vanity." It is our life that is so vain and futile. A close friend suddenly dies. Children often pass away before their parents. In this case, we feel vanity of life. Buddhism is also based on such a reflection of life. Buddhism says, matter is void. The material world is all in vain. Therefore, like Parmenides, Buddhism also regards this world as fantasy or illusion. It denies this world of life and death and seeks to reach nirvana, that is, a state of no desire and no pain, emancipation from the world of change. The Chinese letter, 색적시공, the translation, this letter is color, 색 is empty. The color is empty. Color is here to be interpreted as the world of matter, experience, and the phenomenon. Matter is empty, meaningless, and false. Is main teaching of the Buddhism. The person who realized that this is called the Buddha. In addition, I am also void. There is no I, ego, in the real sense of the sense in Buddhism. The world and I are simultaneously refuted. However, the concept of change is twofold: the positive side, the negative side. The positive side of change means birth, development, growth. On the contrary, the negative side of it means fall, decay, and death. The finitude of our lives often overwhelms the joy of life. In addition to this finitude of worldly things, an epistemological reflection about life and the world makes the world more unreliable. The sensible may not be real. As mentioned earlier in my lecture second, color is in fact my sensation. All looks yellow to the jaundiced eye. Therefore, matter as my sensation too may not be an objective thing. In this relationship, the Buddhistic saying, matter is a picture of the Gautama Buddha. Gautama's teaching, 재행, 무상, 일체계고, 재분부화. All the behavior is meaningless, all the life thing is only suffering, all truths refer to non-existence of self. Common sense as well as Buddhistic view says life is vain or all the action is in vain. Is there any permanent thing beyond all these changes becoming motion and sensible? The answer to it was given by one of the most famous philosophers in 2,500-year-old Western philosophy. This man is Parmenides in ancient Greek. My argument is follows. If Gautama Buddha had known the philosophy of Parmenides, Buddhism would not have been born, because although Parmenides also denied the recognition of the finite things, he affirmed the recognition of the reality, that is being or being as being. Being is thought. This is also the birth of Western science as public objective knowledge of truth. Common sense and the Buddhistic wisdom is simple and evident to understand, but the difference between them is as follows. The former resigned itself to vanity, lamentation. Instead, the latter wants to overcome the vanity of the life through the hard abstinence and the spiritual training. But Buddhism gives up scientific public in the subjective knowledge of the truth. Instead, it seeks the truth in the realm of the private experience, nirvana. That can be said as mysticism. The truth lies over the speech and the letters. On this point, Buddhism and Western philosophy, science diverge. Change or becoming, however, is impossible because it implies nothing or negation in itself, according to Parmenides. To Parmenides, therefore, the matter of being non-being or negation is more essential than generation and destruction. The program of change is a return to that of negation. Therefore, negation is more fundamental than change or becoming. The world of matter, karma, motion, and generation and destruction are all illusion, fantasy, as Buddhism thinks, because these phenomena involve negation, non-being, or simply not in themselves. Like Buddhism, Parmenides also regards this world of change and becoming as an imagination or fantasy or error. But instead of staying there, he keeps on going to analyze the way of being, this correlative human cognition. The identity of being and thought. On the other side, being is not sensitive but intelligible. This view also makes a fundamental element of Western thought. A German philosopher, Heidegger, differentiated the ontological from ontological, that is, in German, ontische from ontologische. For Heidegger, ontological signifies concrete specific realities, whereas ontological signifies a deeper underlying structure of reality. Wikipedia. This man is a great German philosopher, Martin Heidegger. In my standpoint, there is also in Parmenides philosophy such a distinction and transition between ontological and ontological. That is, from the general structure of being to a particular being. The former is that being has no negation, being is a thought. The latter is one being. For example, one path only is left for us to speak, namely, that it is. In this path are very many tokens that what is uncreated and indestructible, for it is completely immovable and without end, nor was it ever, nor will it be. For now it is all at once, a continuous one. Here appears not being in general, but a special being as a continuous one. What is uncreated, indestructible, complete, immovable, and without end. This being is even like a rounded sphere. Parmenides passes from the ontological object to the ontological object. The transience can be thought as a degradation of theory. On the other hand, this superior being, Parmenides, opened a new area of subsequent development of philosophy. Counter-criticism against criticism of Parmenides. From this viewpoint, many false critics against Parmenides' axioms, what is, being is only thought, are to be counter-criticized. For example, a great philosophy scholar W.K.C. Guthrie said in his book, The Great Philosophers, that Parmenides only knew one being of the verb to be, that is, that of existence. Parmenides is said to be ignorant of the other meaning of the verb to be, as copula, a predicative use of the verb to be. This opinion is to be criticized because what is about Parmenides has no predicative or connecting function. He emphasized only the existence of being, being qua being. Therefore, Parmenides said, what is not is impossible. Existence of being qua being has no negation, denial. Only in the level of the connection and the separation of two things to two beings, that is, in the realm of the language, sentence lies the negation as not. Negation is separation of two things. Therefore, negation cannot belong to being itself, being qua being. This being is neither singular nor plural. Denial or negation appears for the first time in the level of the plural beings. The predicative or connecting function of the verb to be had been discovered by Aristotle. It is also a very great contribution of Aristotle in the history of Western philosophy. This book, Greek Philosopher. This book I read at the age of 26, a very informative, concise description of the Greek philosophy. The other minor criticism against the philosophy of Parmenides I will not mention anymore. They are not aware of the core value of what is principle of the Parmenides. An insufficient opinion is, for example, as follows. Parmenides first forces one not to think about anything that doesn't objectively exist. For example, a unicorn. However, this opinion mistakes the unity of being and thought. This is not true. Parmenides doesn't deny imaginary things. Conversely, he could deny such expression like unicorn doesn't exist. Of unicorn as an animal of legend and mythology, we can think, say, and learn. Unicorn as being by Parmenides. Unicorn in the mythology. Okay, so far so good. Thank you very much for your listening to my lecture. See you again